Shalom, and welcome to another edition here on the Genesis 49ers page, where we say no to vague interpretations and we give thorough breakdowns. I always have to open up with that slogan because that's what we're about. That's what we represent, and there's a lot of people that's not about that. They want to give vague interpretations. They want to give mishandled and misinformation because an elder or a deacon or a bishop told them, instead of really doing thorough research and proving what they say. Like scriptures say, prove all things. They don't prove all things. But here at Genesis 49ers, we're here to turn a new leaf. We're about reform, and we want to see the nation grow, not be stagnant or go backwards. Okay? So today's topic is going to be the Eponyms or the Eponyms, however you pronounce it. Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? And we're going to explain to you what an eponym is, or eponym, right? We're going to explain to you what it is, what it means, what's the significance of it. First slide, boom. Eponym means a person after whom a discovery, invention, place, etc. is named or thought to be named. Now, the title, again, is Eponyms, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Because some people are under the notion that these three individuals did not exist, that the flood did not happen. No, that's going to be another video. That Noah, these are all fictitious characters. They don't exist. But when you look into the historical records in the archives of antiquity, it would seem that they did exist. Because the eponym, again, is a person after whom a discovery, invention, place, etc. is named or thought to be named. If these people were fictitious and these people didn't exist, how do they have names? How do we have place names named after these very people and very historical important figures being named after these important people? So let's get into it. The first slide, the initial slide of the actual presentation. Sumer. It says, who were the Sumerians and where did they come from? According to the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, the descendants of Shem, the Arphaxites, settled the Mesopotamian region south of the Tower of Babel, known as Chaldea. Further evidence that Shem's descendants settled southern Mesopotamia is found in Sumerian cuneiform writing. The cuneiform writers used the word Sumer, not Sumer, to identify the region. Moreover, in accordance with the Sumerian phonetic law of admissibility, final consonants were not pronounced in speech. This means that the Sumerians most likely pronounced Sumer as Shum. Also, the vowels E and U are interchanged in Sumerian and Hebrew languages, respectively. This means that the Sumerian word Shum becomes Shem. When adopted into the Hebrew language, it seems appropriate that the early Sumerians would name their land after their great forefather, Shem. And that's where you get the word Sumer from, which I'm under the from my research, which I'll expound on later, what that means if you don't drop it out. And the source is Truth in Science by David Collingridge, page 12. So this is what we can corroborate from this information, that, okay, Sumer is an eponym named after the great-grandfather, the great patriarch Shem, which we descend from as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we are the Israelites. Next slide. Assur. Right? The name Assur. Oh, I skipped the slide. Shumi. Okay, Shumi. And I have for a reference point an ancient king, Assur Nadin Shumi. It means Assur Nadin means to give a name or place, because Shumi means name or place. Ancient king is an ancient king of Sumer. In the Akkadian language, Shumi is equivalent to Shem. In the Akkadian language, means foundation or abode. Thus, Shum equals abode of Shem. And that's how I break it down by studying the ancient Akkadian language. meaning foundation or abode, and Shum meaning place or name, which is the same equivalent in Hebrew what Shem means. So Shum the equal is the abode of Shem, or the foundation of Shem. Now, Assur. The name Assur or Assur is given to the land of Assyria, which is known as Syria in modern times, because the Greeks could not pronounce Assyria correctly, because they didn't have any letter or any consonant that could equal sh, the sh sound. So they couldn't pronounce Assyria, especially with the ah in the beginning. They couldn't pronounce it, so they just called it Syria. And that's where you get the word Syria from. That's why that place is called Syria now, because the Greeks couldn't, once they took over the world, they couldn't pronounce Assyria or Assyria. They just couldn't do it, their language. And that's another thing. That's why you have to study these languages and look for cognates and do real philology when you're studying languages, because some languages can't pronounce it the same way. That's why they have to change it. For example, prime example, English is George and Spanish is Jorge, because the rules and the grammatics are different in Spanish and English. So you can't just say, oh, that's George in Spanish. You have to say Jorge, because the G has to be pronounced like a H, the H. So it has to be Jorge. Same thing with all languages. They have different rules. So some words change, right? But anywho, let's get into the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. It says, Assur, Hebrew Assur, the god of the Assyrians, their reputed human founder. So they looked at this deity or person that they deify as being the founder of whom they come from, their progenitor. The ancient capital of the country, often the nation Assyria. So this Assur, and we know it was a son of Shem, right? His name was put on the capital of Assyria. Why? Because they taught that we come from this people that's named the capital after him. Why? Because this person is real. This person is our progenitor. That's what they were saying. Not now today with all this fictitious BS we see on YouTube. A lot of you brothers at YouTube, you brothers and sisters have become YouTube scholars. My channel is not to encourage that type of behavior. My channel is here to get you up on game so you can get out here. I provide the sources. Read these sources on your own. Don't just watch the video. Take notes. Start reading. Start doing research. Learn philology. Learn these terms I'm telling you. Don't just click play and get some popcorn and get you a little drink or something and this is fun to you. No, we're trying to learn so we can edify. Edify means to build. Don't be a YouTube and don't be a meme scholar. Expand your knowledge. Expand your scope. I know, like especially the camp I come from, they keep you very narrow. You barely know anything. Because they are afraid to teach themselves because they don't know the information. They can't even bring this information out on this level. That's why you have repetitive lessons. The same lesson over and over again. The camp I came from, they had taught eugenics like 10 damn times. They taught the same things over and over again because they didn't have any material to touch on. And with shame, brothers, for knowing things. Oh, you think you somebody because you know scriptures or you know this, you know that. That's what you're supposed to be exhorting, not tearing down. Exhorting means to raise up. Brothers are worthy of praise. Nope. Why? Because there's a lot of jealousy and envy and hatred going on in Israel. But that's for another video. I'm really adamant on education, man. Our people can't be walking around being airheads. We have to know this information. If we believe in it, we have to teach it and prove it. Jake has that problem. You want to be dogmatic. If you want to be dogmatic, you might as well just go back to the Christian church. Just believe. All you got to do is believe. We're here to teach and defend the gospel that we may convince the gainsayers, as it's written by Paul. So, let me get back into it. It says, the god of Assyrians, meaning Assur, their reputed human founder, meaning they look at him as a progenitor. The ancient capital of the country, often the nation Assyria. Assur is the builder of Nineveh and nearby cities. He comes from the kingdom of Nimrod. In the RSV renders Genesis 10:11 to read, Nimrod went to Assyria, found in Nineveh. For most occurrences of the Hebrew word, KJV has Assyria, which is the probable meaning in every case. So, we can see that these people were very real to the ancient men. Okay? We must study. The next patriarch we're going to deal with is Japheth. So we proved that Shem and Sumer, right? We proved that one of his sons, I'm going to do one son for each one, and the patriarch. So now we're going to prove Japheth. Now Japheth, right here, it says, Japheth was regarded by the Greeks the father of all mankind. Again, they looked at him as the progenitor of their nation, because they're like, oh, we descend from Japheth, or Japheth, right? Which is who? Japheth. They're using euhemerism to explain who they come from. They understand we come from Japheth, right? And the source is a Greek reader by Cornelius Conway, page 210. Write that down. Write this information down. Research it. And we have the Ionians, which, again, the Greeks in the Greek language, they couldn't say Yah and stuff like that. They can't say Yahwan. They would have to, like, why you think Jesus in Greek is Ieus? Because, Iesus, however you say it. Because they couldn't pronounce the Yah in their language. The grammatics would not allow them to say Yah. So they would have to replace with I. Same thing here. Instead of Ion or I1, it's Yawan. And that's how you say it in the Hebraic tongue. Yawan or Yavan, which is the son of Japheth or Japheth or Japheth, as written in the Greek histories. Next one, Ion. We're going to deal with his son. We proved that Japheth existed. They believed that they descended from him. That means that they looked at this person as real. Now you got these people nowadays, oh, these people were fictitious, they were fake. But we have the historical records of antiquity to prove you otherwise. Now, I1, which is Yawan, right, in Hebrew. So let's get to it. It says, in Hebrew, the Greeks were called Bene Yawan, meaning the sons of Yawan, a name which is identical with Ion, the mythical ancestor of the Ionians. So they believe they came from this man named Ion, I1, which is Yawan, which is the son of who? Japheth or Japheth, which means beautiful. Source, Linguistics for Studies for Students by David Allen Black, page 151. To the right, you see the image. Now, on the right side, I posted this image on purpose. On the right side, you have a dark-skinned individual. That's the original Ionian. The left side, you have a pale-skinned, blonde-haired individual. That's the invader, in which I covered in my video that Japheth is black. Check it out. But the original inhabitants all look like the person on the right until a change happened. The Sicilians, the Etruscans, the original inhabitants of Italy, the original inhabitants of Greece, a change happened. Invaders came, vagabonds came. It's written all in their history. And here you go. It's even exemplified in their art, as you can see on their frescoes. Next slide. Now we're going to deal with the last patriarch, Kemet, or Kem, or Ham, as we know it in the English tongue. It says, in order to understand Hebrew words, translators typically added vowels which were not part of the Hebrew language. And in the case of Kemet, arrived at Kamat, or Kemet. The name Ham, pronounced Kam, was derived from Kam. Of course, Ham is recognized as the father of African peoples. Though the use and choice of names, the Hebrews indicated that Ham was dark or black. So Kemet and Kemet, Kam, is the same as what we call Ham in English, right? Which is an actual land, okay? Which is what we call Egypt in modern day terminology from the Greeks. So it says Africans. The source is Africans who shaped our faith by Jeremiah A. Wright, page 21. So we can see that. You don't name this person. This place was named after Ham. It was named after him. They named it after him because they felt as if this guy is real. It's that simple. I'm going to deal with the ancient and deal with the antiquity and how they saw it, not how you modern people that don't even live in that time, with your vain opinions, like Sirach 4:24 says, you're deceived by your vain opinion. But we're going to bring forth true scholarship, and we're going to bring forth the source material to prove it, to prove what we're saying. We're saying death to the dogmatic mind state and rise of the pragmatic mind state. So from here, this is from Africa and the Africans in the Old Testament by David Alamo, page 12. It says, above the third cataract is the evidence that the seat of the kings of Cush was there and became the place from where the whole kingdom of Cush was ruled, at least from the 17th and early 16th centuries BCE. However, it is possible that from Kerma, the Kushite kingdom with its administrative center in Kerma or Meroe extended to part of Arabia, because we know that the kingdom of Kush wasn't just in what we call Africa, it was in Arabia. And I got another video that's going to come soon about Ham. Ham is not just predicated upon the landmass Africa. They were on the coast of Shem, okay? They were by what we call now the modern day Israel. That was all Canaan. That's all Africans. That's all Hamite children. That was outside of Africa. They were in parts of Arabia. They were in Chittim, okay? They were in different islands of the Mediterranean Sea. So how is Ham always predicated, or if you're Ham, then you're from the continent that we can now call Africa? That doesn't make any sense. But that's for a later video. Stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel. Like, comment down below, and share on the social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Anywho, let's get back into it. It says scholars are also aware that although the use of the term Cush ceased during the fall of Meroe and the decline of the kingdom of Cush, the people of Kordofan and Darfur in the west of the Nile River still retain the name Cush, Kash, Akkad up to the Christian era. Although Egyptian inscriptions maintain the fact that the Egyptian people had expeditions to the south, probably as far as the land of Cush, as early as the 6th dynasty under Pepe II. The earliest reference to the term Cush in the known Egyptian monuments is in the inscriptions of Amani. This inscription, written during the reign of Sesostris I, excuse me if I'm butchering these names, tells us that the king traveled south, overthrew his enemies, the abominable Kash, obtained tributes and passed the boundary of Cush. And there's another point that's off topic, because a lot of people think that all of Ham was one. No, they warred and fought against each other. But you see it right here in the inscription on many. It says, obtained tributes and passed through the boundary of Cush to the end of the earth. Sesostris II, III also record the expeditions to Cush. By the time of the second intermediate period, Egypt recognized the growth of the power of the Cushites. Amos, who reigned just before the 18th dynasty, says in the Carnovian Tablet 1, let me understand what his strength of mind is for. Prince is in Avaris, another is in Ethiopia, which is Kus, and here I sit associated with an Asiatic and a Negro, Nahesi. Each man has his slice of this Egypt, dividing up the land with me. I cannot pass by him as far as Memphis. So that's just history on Cum. We brought out Cum, and we brought out his son. Now, to recap. Well, let's go back. Let me give you that source again. That source is Africa and the Africans in the Old Testament by David Alamo, page 12. To recap the whole video, the whole presentation, Shem equals Sumer, or Shumer, right? That's where that land name is named after him. It's an eponym. It's named after the famous man named Shem. Kemet, or Cum, is the eponym, what we know as Ham, of the land of what we call Egypt today. Japheth, Japheth. We read that they believed that they derived from this man named Japheth. Assur, the son of Shem, is Assur or Assyria. Cush, the son of Ham, is Kash, the kingdom of Kash we just got done reading about. Javan is Jawan or Ion, which is the ancient Greek, quote-unquote, Greek states are Greekish Isles, right? These places are named after these famous men, after these famous people. Why? Because they looked at these people as physical, tangible people, not just stories. They believe they descended from them, showing you that there's some truth and validity behind it. So the purpose of this video was to prove by the eponyms that these people were of an existence in the memory of the ancient men. And we have the archives, we have the artifacts, we have the proof to give clarity to these claims. So with that, I'm going to say shalom. I pray that y'all brothers learned something. I pray that y'all got something out of this. And I used the image too, right? Because he got it right. Kemet, Shem, and Japheth, they were all black. They were all black people. They all dark-skinned people. The quote-unquote white-skinned people or leprous people came later. Now, that's for another video. I've done videos on it before. Again, shalom, shalom, family. I'm praying that you brothers are learning. Rate, comment, and subscribe. Like the video. If you don't like the video, leave a comment down below with a actual question, not a statement. And if you have a argument against this, then provide source material. I see a lot of comments where you're just giving your opinion or you're referencing another YouTube video, because a lot of brothers are YouTube scholars. They don't do independent research. Bring forth a valid point, and then we can talk. We can discuss. We can have a discussion. All right. So with that, I'm going to end the video. New videos coming soon. Just be patient, brothers. I got more material to touch on. Here on Genesis 49ers, we say no to vague interpretations, and we give thorough breakdowns. Genesis 49ers, signing off.